Okay, one thing I forgot to do on the last video was to import this file into the ID 415 first name last name Garden Spade 01 max file, and I've updated that file. It had a few problems with how it wanted to render and save the file. I had it set for a different renderer and for a different file type for saving. It should all be good now. So if you've already gotten it, try deleting it and re-importing. I know it might be a lot of work. Otherwise, you could merge. You could do, if you have your spade already in a file without all this stuff, you could just do import and then click the arrow and then import and then merge this stuff from the current file that's on class store into your new scene file. Delete any of this if you have any of it. Ideally, you just have your the pieces of your spade tool. Okay, so sorry to digress on that, but thought it was critical to point out. Okay, so I'm going to go through this again. I'm just going to import and then browse to where I have that. Just open that up, make sure it's import as editable poly. If you need to rescale it or convert the units, you can do that here. Make sure everything is selected here. Everything else should be good to go. So let's see. Don't really need materials in this case, but I could bring them in anyway. Yeah, that's all looking good. So I'm just going to import. It's going to zoom in on them. Obviously, I need to do a little recentering, so I'm going to pick those, come to my hierarchy tab, turn on affect pivot only, center to object, and center to object. Turn that off, and then press W, get my move tool, right click to set that to 0, and this is on the X. In my case, yours might be different, so you look for whichever axis that you need to move it on. And now everything's all centered. You don't technically have to do that. You can just point a camera to this or just get it in view, but I tend to work off that origin, so you're just out of habit, like to center things there. Let's just take a look at everything now. Okay, with all that up, let's expand my view here, and let's just take a look at our render setup. Under our common, we can come down to assign renderer just to make sure that yes, indeed, we have NVIDIA Mental Ray set as our production renderer. If it's not, come up and click on Mental Ray for the renderer and make sure it's set to that. You can see it brought in some default materials that are on it. Let me hit F4 here to get that. Oh, it's just this default gray. If we hit M to bring up our material editor, you'll see that the Kelvin temperature is the only material that's available in the slot. And what that is, that's a lighting material that's applied to the light that's in the scene. So it lights it like the sun. Essentially, if we double click it, you can see its only settings are its intensity, which is pretty high at 30, and its temperature, which is 6500, which is the same as you can see if you mouse over it. You get that as the same in the MR photographic exposure controls. And I'll talk about that in just a moment. But that's essentially, as far as I know, the color of the sun, the white part of the sun. If you take it up higher, it'll render blue, and then if you take it lower, you get more of a orangish red color. This works well as a good light in the scene. in fact, let's close that out and take a look at our light. You know, it's up here, kind of pointed down, just to give us a little bit of an offset there, and it's fairly high. And I'm using and I'll talk a lot more about lighting a little later if we come to our tab here. You can see a lot of the controls for it. But you can tell that it's getting its light from that Kelvin material. If we look to the oops, sorry, it's not the one that's getting that light from the Kelvin material. It's this sky portal here. So if we bring that up, you can tell that if we bring the material editor up, yeah, you can see that yes, indeed, the white triangles it's being used on that sky portal, which is what's providing the light in this. In fact, I don't even know if this photometric light is even on. Nope, it's not. Should probably delete it from the scene. Don't really need it. All right, let's take a look at our model here, and let's start putting some materials on it. So currently its materials are this default down here. We don't need it, and you can see you've got the little white triangles on the little slot over here. If you navigate to it, should be the very top left, but we can make some new ones to put on it. So to do that, I'm going to come all the way up over here and look in the mental ray here, and I'm just going to pull out a new mental ray material, and let's double click on the image and the thumbnail. That looks pretty good for that, the back of the handle here. So let's see, let's make this a little bit smaller so I can see a little more of this. I'm going to pick that. I can bring up the wireframe just to make sure I have that, and let's double click on this to bring up its settings, and its color I'm just going to drop down just a little bit darker. Say OK, and then I'm just going to drag it out to that and let it go to it. Yeah, and it picks up. It's very similar to that toy plastic that's in ZBrush. Now to do the orange part, I'm just going to come back over here to this material, hold down Shift, and click and drag it out till I get a new copy of it. And this is not an instance of it, this is just a copy. And I'm going to double click on it, and then for the color I'm going to come in and I'm going to take this all the way up to 1, and the green to 0.5, and the blue to 0. Just right clicking on the slider here to get that, and there's that nice pure orange color. Say OK, and it still has the same no roughness, fairly high reflectivity, fairly high glossiness on the reflection, and no translucency, so we wouldn't have to worry about any refraction on it. So I'm just going to pull that over and drop it on the middle there, and yeah, that looks like it looks like it's kind of picking up that material quite well. And then this blade piece will be chrome, so let's make a chrome very quick, and it's also an arch and design material, so I'm just going to move these over a little bit. Hold down Shift, drag this over to clone it, and this time instead double click on it. Instead of changing color or anything like that, I'm going to come over here to the template section of the arch and design material and open that up, and that lets me pick I'm just going to go down to Chrome here. Now you see there's nothing in the environment, it's just whatever is in the background, and anything that's right in here that it's going to pick up. ZBrush uses a texture map to fake that environmental reflection, and a lot of other renderers do as well. But this one is, it's what you give it, so it's whatever's going to be in the environment here, and it's not going to show up in the viewport. It's just going to go white because that's its diffuse color. and I really won't have to change anything on this. The only thing I'll need to do is change the environment a little bit. So let's go out and take a look at the environment now that all these things have been assigned. And while I've got these objects selected, I'm going to change their names. So that's the blade, and let's see, this is the handle front. Just copy that. And this is the handle back. Everything else is just going to have its generic names, so yeah, let's just make sure those all have the names. Always a good idea to name the parts, and let's come in and you can just double click on a material and then come in and name that. That's, you know, our gray handle, and orange handle. Oop. And chrome. Okay, let's get this thing centered up and take a quick test rendering, and then see what we're going to get out of this. Be careful about rotating around so that comes on the horizon. I'll show you what's going to happen if that is the case. And I want to try to get around where I get a good highlight splitting across there. It's probably not going to show up in my render. It's a little bit softer on the render, but we'll give it a try. So I'm just going to click on the render production and let it take a shot at it. Yeah, it's pretty bright. And I probably want to set this a little bit smaller so it doesn't take so long to render. And you can see that this is just picking up the reflection of the light and just a little bit of the background. It's really only going to show, and that's just kind of picking up some of just the horizon and of the plane, and a little bit of probably the black or dark gray background. That's looking pretty good. Getting good, nice soft shadows off that sky portal and the skylight, and that's kind of what we want. Let's see. Let's back up and take a look at our environment. And to do that, you just hit the number 8 key on the keyboard, not the keypad, but the keyboard, and that brings up the environment and effects. Or you could come to rendering and environment and bring that up and go to the environment. And you see our background is set to this bright white, and that's probably why we were seeing so much white in that. One trick I have done in the past is to rotate around and start a rendering and let it do its thing. And really I can just cancel, don't need to let it do the whole thing. And then from the environment tab, pick the background color, pick the color picker here, and just go down right on the very edge of that thing and pick that color and say OK. And now you render it again, and you can sometimes get a pretty good match. In this thing's case, it's a little grainy on there, so it's not really going to match up exactly, but you can get a fairly good transition. And what we would do is turn up the final gather on this so we won't have so much speckling, and it'll match up a little bit better. Or you can just build an environment with some curves on it that this thing will pick up. So let's see, let's get this thing, it's about to start beeping, so let's stop that, and I'll stop the video here and pick this up, and we'll talk more about materials and lighting.